There is a concerning dip in form in our forwards, Alejandro Garnacho and Rasmus Højlund. We have been complaining that Højlund has not been fed balls, but the few he has been fed in the past few games, he has not really made good use of. You remember the first clear-cut chance of the game against Liverpool, the goalless draw, was a beautiful pass after a build-up between Anthony and Scott McTominay. Then McTominay plays a good through pass to Rasmus Højlund, has a clear-cut opportunity to beat Alisson, but he fails. Now, that was, I think, one of few, and you think you cannot be scoring every chance you get. But also, probably for that particular one, you could say Alisson was good with his one-on-one. And of course, this is arguably the best goalkeeper in the world right now. But again, we see Rasmus Højlund failing still again in almost a similar manner. Had two chances against because we had 11 chances on goal against West Ham. United could have had more goals. We had the right to claim a victory in that game, but still, the few chances that we created, we failed to bury. Højlund failed. So did Alejandro Garnacho after scoring a beautiful bicycle kick. Then the following goal, I think, a beauty against Galatasaray. It seemed like he was the new guy now to take over the left wing, but actually took it over from Marcus Rashford. But again, now we are seeing there is again a concerning dip in form. You saw he got, I think, two or three balls from Anthony against West Ham United, but still his fast touch and his sharpness again was a bit lacking. What is this? It takes us back to what Eric Ten Hag said, that this team does not have the quality to be consistent. We've got players who are like this. If it is a bar, the graph of Man United is like this, confusing. So imagine from the performance against Liverpool, this time around we look like we we should be more comfortable, but still we fail to bury the few chances we create. Now it's it looks as if there is a slight improvement, but you see when you're losing at the level like this, in the Premier League, you have got to be effective. West Ham had few chances, but they took their chances. The simple moment of lapse from Kobe Maino, they took it. The few little chances West Ham United had, they made use of. United still, again, continues to have the better chances, but we don't bury them. Now, at this level, that's the difference, and that's why you will get beat in this competition, especially the Premier League. Opponents are too sharp. They are too sharp. So you've got to be effective and take your chances when they come. But Manchester United has failed to do that. The other thing I observed, and this is with all the entire team, we seem to play with a lot of. I feel like we are Eric Ten Hag is sort of taking us back to the Louis van Gaal ball. If you remember how Van Gaal used to pass the ball around, for Van Gaal it was a bit worse because he was doing a lot of it. Man United is beginning to look like we're doing the same thing. Now, don't get me twisted. A couple of months ago, I couldn't say this about Man United because we could not put a few complete passes together. We are looking like we're improving in those passes together, but we are consistently becoming less and less effective because we are creating a bit of good chances, but we are not burying them. Now, you can choose to take the positive and say, is it a team in progress? But individuals in regress, if you know what I mean, that our team play seems to be progressing a little. With Kobe Maino, we are passing the ball better, we are more comfortable, we are dictating possession, we are dominating possession, but maybe we need to do it more consistent and become more comfortable and more pacey and more confident with it, and then we will be able to convert the ball possession into effectiveness. Now, the team, you can see there is slight improvement in the team, but certain individuals are not exactly improving. That and that's the forwards, because the forwards are expected to be effective. The few chances we create, they are expected to bury them. So it's a rock and a hard place. You can take positives. You can choose to focus on a couple of positives in the game against West Ham because, like I said, a few games ago we couldn't pass the ball. For example, we had a good result against Liverpool, but we did not dominate possession. We did not have the right to claim anything in that game. If we just contained the game against West Ham, even if we lost, it is not because we are not proactive and we did not contain the game, but it's because we are not effective. So I personally do not want to think that this performance was that bad. If anything, I feel like Kobe Maino looked a little comfortable because he had more spaces, a big space, and seems to enjoy that space. He seems to be growing more comfortable in that space that the Eric Ten Hag single pivot could make sense if Maino is the one there, but it still doesn't look exciting to watch. Now, you may not know, we cannot know that it's still early days to think about excitement, because we are again just building from a team that could barely put a few good right things together to what we are beginning to say, semblance of something good. But with Man United, even when you're doing that, you've got to bury your chances because you've got to win games. We cannot be losing games like this after a good performance. So our graph as Man United is like this, up and down and up and down and up and down. It shouldn't happen, especially when it comes to the results. So, but if anything, I feel like there is a slight improvement in how we play in terms of a bit of balance, in terms of how we take care of possession in our boring way, our Louis Van Gaal show. Of course, the Van Gaal thing, like I said, was a bit worse and more dragging. But this kind of football, honestly, I feel is not, it's not the football that made us love Man United. And of course, we know that we are changing things from what we are used to a new identity. But I do wonder whether that identity is what we the fans want, because we support the identity that you build. This Manchester United still, we look like we are trying to bring to get a different identity, but it's not coming through and it's not exciting. It's not who we are. It puts us under pressure. We've got to be so patient. Yet Manchester United style of play is not exactly patient. We are, we just want to counter attack and bully opponents. These players play without fire and hunger. There is no life in our team. There is no oomph. There is no desire. There is no. These players are just are not like they're not motivated, and that is why even when we fail to bury chances, we don't seem to be exactly bothered. So there is a lot of things to question about this squad in terms of individual players, but also in terms of in terms of the entire thing we are building, whatever we are doing with Eric Ten Hag. It's a difficult place right now to try and analyze it, but the reality is there is still a lot of work to do, and the work is beyond tactical things, but even just motivating players. The players do not look motivated. You would expect that after how we performed against Liverpool, we had reason to have all the fire to go in London, in the capital, and bully West Ham in their own den. But each individual player lacked the fire. Kobe Maino was just enjoying himself, but there was no spark. Everyone was just calm. United were passing the ball around boringly and defending, and West Ham were trying out things. We are not giving them trouble. They were comfortable. The whole team the whole thing from individual, it was all confusing, to be honest. The whole game was confusing. You would want to feel it was a little better, but then we lost. How can you say it was better? Confusion. This club.